let's just start the meeting on time.
What were those things called that they spin around?
So everybody knows the video is now live on YouTube, so. For all our viewers out there that are tuning into exciting council meetings. Usually about 7 rules. Yeah, we'll call this public hearing to order. Welcome, everybody. First off, I'd just like to acknowledge that tonight we're gathered here on Treaty 5 territories. It's homeland of our neighbors, the Opaskwayak Cree Nation, as well as many other Indigenous people, and as well as the homeland to the Red Métis. So with that, we'll call the meeting to order. Somebody should have a resolution to adopt the agenda.
Move on myself, Councillor Actors, resolve that the agenda be adopted as presented.
Any questions with regards to the agenda? Any additions? Seeing none, call the question. All in favor? Opposed? None? Carried. So this purpose of this hearing is to hear any representation from the public regarding the variance application 01-20-025 or 2025 for the designation of an emergency homeless shelter at 108-110 Edwards Avenue in Nepal. This shelter is intended to operate until March 31st, 2025. So with that, I will go to questions and answer periods. Anybody have any questions? You want to step up for you?
Would it make sense for Lucia to present what the plan is, and that might have.
Yeah.
Sure.
Like, questions maybe?
Sure.
Okay, I believe Diane is on. Yeah, that's fine.
Dan, can you promote yourself? That's no working.
I do have a letter if you want me to read it. So, Opaskwayak Cree Nation is requesting an emergency homeless shelter designation to their newly acquired building on 110 Edwards Avenue in Nepal. It's intended to operate this, and the request was originally on February 3rd, 2025 to March 31st, 2025. OCN has experienced homelessness in the past. However, a recent event brought up this matter to the forefront of housing our most vulnerable members. On the night of February 3rd, 2025, two OCN members had nowhere to sleep and slept outdoors in frigid temperatures, being warmed only by a fire. There have also been incidents of our members staying overnight in the Big Eddy dump. This is a serious issue, has led to urgency in assisting our own with temporary shelter. We're referring to this request as only as temporary, as OCN has a potential long-term strategy to accommodate this segment of our population with permanent housing, which may include tiny home community. Having said that, the environmental branch will be overseeing this project through property management and the public safety department, with the building management and security team dedicated to ensure the safety of both the clients and the staff. The health services branch will be providing cots and limited dividers for male and female privacy. Also, social services will be assisting in terms of food preparation for basic meals. Our housing branch will also be providing safety in the terms of meth and naloxone kits. And there is currently rules being developed to address the issues of drug, alcohol, smoking, conduct, etc. Keep in mind this letter was February 4th. A more detailed schedule of operation is forthcoming. However, in the short term, we anticipate individuals warming up through the day with certain hours closed for cleanup and maintenance. As this is an urgent matter, we request this approval as soon as possible, as we may continue to roll up of emergency planning. If you have any additional Cremations contact.
Okay, before Diane comes on,
Okay.
okay, I'd just like to say that you all, first of all, my name is Chief Brown. And you all know that we purchased the building specifically for office space, which we will be pursuing as soon as this is over. And, yeah, so I believe Diane is online. She oversees government services.
Hi there.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, clearly.
Hi, here at the hotel, can you hear me okay?
Yes, right.
Okay, I'm just getting away from the noise, I apologize.
Still there, Diane? So whenever you're ready,
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we are waiting for you. Yes.
Okay. So did you, want me to go ahead and just proceed with the request?
Yes, you have to proceed with the request. We are all waiting there.
Okay, well, thank you very much, and thank you, Mayor Murphy and council. I understand there's also probably some community members from the town of Buffalo present this evening. I guess basically the intent of the request was to address the need for homelessness of our senior members in our community. And when I say community, I talk about the tribe community, our very close relationship with the town of Paul, the RMF policy. And basically, it came to our attention at government services that there was a very concerning issue relating homelessness of our community members up in the coldest temperatures of the year, where they were literally outside in the snow overnight and being kept warm by just fire. So with that, we were given directive by Chief Council to establish really a temporary homeless shelter. Basically, it was we were given directive on Monday, February 3rd. And we were advised that we needed to get one up in very short order. And we took the directive very seriously. And within 48 hours, the Veterans Hall was open to take in our band members who were experiencing homelessness. 1 o'clock in the afternoon, we took our first intake. Since then, we've had close to 300 nightly visitors that would come. And these again are repeat OCN members that have felt the need to come to the Veterans Hall and access the services that we were providing on a temporary basis. We have Eric Bignell. He'll be joining the meeting in person this evening. He is the homeless shelter manager, and he comes, he's a OCN member. He comes also from Winnipeg. He has experience with homeless shelters here in the city. So he's going to be sharing the experiences that he's encountered in the short term. And also, I believe one of the shelter workers, and they're going to really kind of shed light on the importance of having a homeless shelter, the supports to wrap around people going through this kind of situation. And also, thank you. And also, I apologize, I'm in the hallway, so there's people kind of going. The need to establish a more long-term placement, which would be the I apologize, Edwards Avenue building that we just recently purchased with a cluster creation. It falls under property management within government services. the facility, the building itself is just a little over 4,000 square feet. It has an upstairs, downstairs, space for it, it has wheelchair access, actually has an elevator in the building. We all know it was the new to you building for our community, where people were able to come in and access, clothing that's, you know, where they need clothing. Boots, jackets and everything else. So, with that, we have the space now to accommodate. Ideally, the request is to rezone as a temporary shelter operated, owned by OCN, in our own building situated at 108, 110, Edwards Avenue in Nepal. We looked at having it, opened up and rezoned temporarily to March 31st. So that we can accommodate the cold weather, that our community members are experiencing. One of the key areas, though, I wanted to bring to light and is that when we're dealing with homelessness, we're dealing not just with somebody not having a bed to sleep in. They're dealing with multiple issues. We know that one of the areas when we do our intakes is we're looking at really what are those issues and how can we help in terms of mitigating what they are. I hear shelter, but they're just stepping in. So we know and we all experience the concerns that come with the town's homeless shelter. We hear them. Hi, Eric, our shelter manager. Thank you for popping in at the town council meeting. And you know that they deal with, intergenerational trauma. I think if at this point, all our communities, where regardless of where you reside, know that intergenerational trauma directly related to colonial systems that have been forced on us, including not only Indian Act, not only the residential school system, the 60s scoop, we can still continue to experience child and family services issues. And the majority, if not 100% of our clients have experienced that in one form or another. Having said that as well, we're dealing with multiple addictions issues as a result of that. And we call them secondary issues. They're not primary issues by any means. They're symptoms of bigger problems that lead to why people become homeless in the first place. You know, one of the issues that, and no disrespect to anybody out there from other countries, but one of the issues we hear frequently is why our own people, our First Nations people, born and raised in our own homelands, not being able to have adequate housing. We get bypassed by others. And it's important to recognize that we need to continue to do the work to support our people, regardless of whether they're on this side of the river or that side of the river, and recognize that it's a community that's in need of accommodating our people that are most vulnerable. One of the areas that we're also doing is gathering statistics through our intake process in terms of homelessness numbers. We're getting a sense of why people are homeless, how long have they been homeless. So ultimately what we're doing is we're establishing a baseline of raw data. It's all evidence-based for the long-term strategy to address the homelessness in our community. We know they are on the streets. We know at times they can create trouble. We get that. We all have experienced it regardless of who we are. But we also need to look at it in terms of compassion. You know, we have to help our fellow man. Our chief of council looked at it as what we call Wichituin, and that means that we're all connected in one way. We're family. We're family by the blood that we all have as human beings in a sense. So one of the things we need to do is take that model and embrace it, support it, encourage our fellow human beings as we do with everybody else who comes to our communities, and hope to work at a solution to accommodate them. One of the things I really need to stress though is that this isn't a permanent rezoning application request. It's only another 6 or 7 weeks. And what we are going to be doing in that interim is providing all the supports available. Right now we have 24-hour operation. We do close on certain times of the day for the cleaning and the cooking and everything else that needs to happen. But one thing that we are consistent with as well is the security that's available 24 hours a day. We want to make sure that people that are accessing these facilities are being respectful for other clients, respectful for all staff. And with that, we have what we call as a warning system. We want to make sure that all people coming through are being respectful, that we don't allow any kind of opportunity for drugs or alcohol by any means. And our security staff would be available on site 24 hours a day. I don't see it as any other difference in terms of the other homeless shelter where they've been utilizing services up to this point. We know the issues that come out of there as well. But one of the things we need to guarantee them is we do have security. We have 2 shift workers on 8-hour schedules, male and female. We also have sheltered workers on every 8-hour shift, male and female. So what we're doing is continually supporting individuals that come through the doors. When I say supporting, it's not just a holding station. Besides from getting a warm bed, and these are cots that helped us during the one of the wildfire evacuations. So we've got cots that they're able to sleep in with blankets and sheets and meals being prepared. It's a joint effort with our resources at OCN. One of the programs out of employment and income assistance, the pre-employment support program offers meals 3 times a day, and we also have remote staff that subsidize the meals as well, so they snacks and whatnot. But when I talk about wraparound supports, I'm also talking about making sure that they have full access to counselors. We haven't quite stabilized yet, and we were looking at the Veterans Hall as an interim measure until we can actually open doors to our shelter on Avenue. And at that point in time, we'd like to establish the nurses that come in, that do regular checkups. We have 1 counselors to come in and speak to our clients. So it's a real concerted effort with everybody available to support our individuals. Eric and Lily are going to really kind of speak to the statistics, and I kind of rounded up the number with the numbers I saw this afternoon. We're looking at about 300 people, or at least beds that are being filled since the inception, which would have been February 5th. So we're now close to 3 weeks in, and I think for the most part, we've managed it very professionally. It's very structured. We abide by all of our timelines and our schedule. And when we have the door locks, then we keep doors locked. So we also have an expectation for those that are able and physically able to assist with cleanup, and that's also something that we expect as well for them being able to share the accommodations and access them. We know that during January and February, we've got the coldest we've seen in a long time. You know, nighttime temperatures falling into the -40s. One of the things we really need to bring to light again is the impact on our Indigenous peoples, our members of Opaskwayak Cree Nation. Our email signature speaks to our presence here in this territory since time immemorial. And it's a very long time for our people to live on these lands and have done it forever. We know that colonizations have many, many negative impacts on our lives as Indigenous peoples. Unlike anywhere else in the world, we've been dictated in terms of where we live physically. We've been put into squares called reservations. And one of the things we don't want to start doing now is going back to that type of mentality. I think it's 2025, we need to move forward on this. We need to be able to embrace and say, you know what? These are people just like us that are going through hard times. And if we are able to accommodate and look at temporary accommodations, then I think we need to start taking that approach. That's the way we address reconciliation. And by doing so, the town of the Paw is going to be able to say, you know what, we're doing our part. We're pleased to be welcoming our community members in a warm place where they can actually eat and sleep in comfort. You know, the city of Winnipeg doesn't always have that luxury. 2 people wait in line just to try and get warm beds. So we have an opportunity here with residents of the town to take a different approach and say, listen, you know, we really wanna make sure that our community members, and I say community when I mean Tampa, CN as well, are able to support them. So when I talk again about, I'm sorry, there's a group of people coming by here. There's a group of people coming by here, so if you just give me 1 quick second.
One of the things that, Diane, that's okay, I can, talk for a bit here. One of the things that everyone is probably thinking, well, we already have a homeless shelter, right? So these individuals that spent the night by a fire on probably the coldest night of the winter obviously felt safer in that situation than they would at the current homeless shelter. You'll notice, I'm sure, you know, with the homeless shelter here in town, I don't know what the ratio is for OCN members being there, but I can assure you that they probably would feel safer, and they did, being outside rather than being at the current homeless shelter.
If I may just step in for a second, I'll say just thank somebody for along this opportunity for us to, you know,
Just, Eric, just tell everybody your name so that.
Eric Goodell, I just recently started at the OCN Veterans Hall homeless shelter and the manager there. And I just want to say that it's enjoyable working there with our own people and you know, just to pick up on what Maureen said, I did have a chance to meet with Janet Lowther, and they work at the shelter in Oscar's place. They came to visit us. We went to go visit them just to exchange information, you know, just to networks. But I did go, I went to town there, and I think that frankly, Janet and those guys over there, they're overwhelmed. They're really overwhelmed. They have a really tight spot, and they're just people that's packed in there. They have a lot of like really hard issues to deal with their people that frequent there. There's a lot of hard drugs being done. There's a lot of addicts, and there's all kinds of, you know, unfortunate events that happen to them, you know, and for themselves. Sometimes they just can't help themselves with their addictions. And that's just the nature of it, you know, I mean, and I just want to say that as far as I know, since I've been working at the shelter, we haven't had to phone the police once. So that's something there. And I'm not gonna, I don't want to point any fingers, but I think the read between the lines, it's not really our people that are causing the problems at the town here. And I had I noticed the difference in our shelter that we have on OCN. It's like a real sanctuary. It's a real sanctuary. It's, you know, it's clean. It's well lit. We have some good food coming out there. And the interaction between us workers and the clients, I think it's very cordial and very, you know, very welcome. It's very welcoming.
Professional, well, not that they're not professional, but when this happened at OCN, Mayor, we mobilized a team that covered all areas. Whether it was, you know, having the PSP do the food security, 24-hour security, very important, and very strict rules.
Yeah, very strict rules.
Very strict.
Can I well, they're still presenting you also. I'll just ask a couple questions because maybe people are just to kind of keep the conversation going, if you don't mind. So 300, you saying 300 people are staying at
Not per night.
No, not for night.
No, over.
Yeah,
I'm Counselor Brigham, Pascal Nation.
come on, Frank, sit over there, I'm sure.
Oscar's Place houses 53,
Yep,
and 30 of those in there were OCN members. So when I went and visited Oscar's Place, they had mats everywhere and people sleeping everywhere. And when Chief gave me the directive to put on a homeless shelter on our side, our numbers were at 30 that we took from Oscar's Place to our side.
yeah, I guess my question, I was wondering, I heard 300 people staying there.
Probably the
That's probably
duration.
between the
Oh,
whole
okay.
8 weeks, right?
So like, yeah, so that was one of the things. And no, I appreciate you bringing that up, Counselor. So working with the existing shelter to make it to be the way it should be.
Mhm.
We would hope that, you know, we're providing support to all people, despite where you're from. That when you're in this trouble with addictions, or whatever trauma you're carrying along with you, we come together and say, how can we actually help everybody? And so we have one shelter today that may need that support. How do you think, why can't we just have one shelter and put the work into that shelter?
Oh, with your Oscar Place, there's no room.
Is it just size?
53 blue mats on
Yeah.
a room like this, and that's where they sleep.
Yeah, no, so you're just saying it's physically not big enough.
Yeah, and they go way over.
28, yeah, that's why I'm rather shocked to hear the number 53.
Yeah, I don't think,
Because it can.
so, yeah, so I'll just ask you a couple of quick ones. So, yeah, so I appreciate that. I mean, because I'm sure somebody's thinking of, I'm asking the question because if somebody's watching,
Mhm.
somebody might not be able to ask the question, so.
Yeah.
So it's temporary, till the end of March, right? Why relocate if you only got like 5 weeks left? Why does that make sense to?
To accommodate our members. After they get up, they come on this side.
I'd answer.
Okay.
Because primarily, we want to restore some dignity in, you know, to our people, and part of that, you know, it is self-care. You know,
Mhm.
plainly can have clean clothes and shower every day and use the bathroom and peace. And a lot of our people, they don't have nowhere to go, so we're gonna see them over and over again without washing, and that's, you know,
Yeah.
that's be quite troubling sometimes. It is troubling.
Yeah.
It is troubling. So that's part of the reason they have got a lot of laundry facilities there. And they have the building has, it says 2 sections, we've got the ladies on one side and the men on the other side. And there's a wash and dryer there too.
Can I have Diana answer that question?
Thank you, Mayor, for the questions that can potentially arise. And why the need for separate accommodations, like our counselor, you know, very clearly stated, it's overloaded, it can literally border on inhumane living conditions. And again, it's no disrespect to the operations of the homeless shelter. It's a lack of community resources that have gotten us to this point. If there's desperation, we know that there's been a huge influx into the town of the Pas from other First Nations communities. We get that. That's something I think that's beyond anybody's control in terms of where people choose to reside. Our numbers are not as high in terms of OCN members residing or staying or using services at the homeless shelter in town. We want to get that clear. I think on average of the nightly bed count at OCN is, and correct me if I'm wrong, Eric, I believe you guys have probably way more accurate stats than the onset. But we were looking initially at 10 to 15 to 20 beds that were being used. We can certainly accommodate up to more. But what we're getting here are people in community. Some of them, for the most part, are on the couch for the night. And no one wants to inconvenience anybody. So you're seeing that number increasing steadily. So they're able to lie on a cot, they're able to sit down and have a meal, like a warm meal. We even were able to get a TV for them. And we're not trying to, in any means, try to make a utopian kind of, culture for them. All we're doing is being humane about the whole situation when it comes to homelessness. It's a big issue for the tribe community to take a look at and work together on.
Yeah.
We talked about the Edwards building. We do have accommodations. Thank you, Eric, for pointing out that we do have washer, dryer, we have kitchen facilities there. And really, at the end of the day, we're looking at 6 weeks.
Yeah.
I know our chief and council are working on a longer term strategy to address homeless shelters. I know Mayor Murphy and I and Laverne, our public safety manager, to name a few, actually had these conversations months back in terms of how do we combat homelessness? Well, right now we're taking an interim measure by proposing a rezoning for the Edwards building. We were looking at how do we look at kind of home concepts, where we actually provide meaningful supports to them. And again, we go back to the impacts of intergenerational trauma. Our people have gone through lots of it. I don't want to repeat myself, but I think it's important, especially for newcomers to our community, to recognize that colonization is real.
Yeah.
And it's been real, since 1876, when we signed treaties here in our Treaty 5 territory that we're all living in. So we need to be mindful and respectful of the fact that, our people in Ocean are struggling, and together through the reconciliation process, work together.
Yeah.
Say, this is a good idea on the interim. We know it's not a forever solution. Recognizing that Ocean leadership is working towards that long-term strategy, and I certainly don't want to speak on behalf of Chief and Council.
Diane, because I know I don't want to run out of time because we have another council meeting, so we heard that, and I can rest assured, our council as well is always advocating for housing, addiction support, healthcare services, safety, all that. One thing I'm anticipating questions people may have been, so I'm just gonna ask the questions. So, Eric, I appreciate you saying there's been no trouble, but I'll ask the question. So there's no trouble, hasn't been any trouble, but what happens if there becomes trouble? Who gets called? Because there are more people hanging around there now and more people maybe causing grief. Is it Manitoba First Nations policing that come to their RCMP? Does the, community safety officers take care of it?
It depends on the severity of the situation. We always call 911, and on OCN, their directive is to go to the First Nations police. Our First Nations.
My understanding that with the service agreement with Manitoba First Nations policing is there certain jurisdictions in terms of where they respond to calls.
Yeah.
Within the two communities. I don't know if Edwards Avenue was a designated area.
Yeah, no, I understand that. Like, that's what I'm just saying is that I'm sure there's people concerned, businesses concerned that if we have more people in these areas, is it just instantly, not that people are troublemakers, but you could just start getting trouble? And what's the plans around that? And then I'll come to Councillor Hopper for the next question, and then I'll open it up to the floor to give some questions.
Mayor, can you ask Diane that question you asked earlier? Why apply if it's only a short time?
Oh yeah, Diane, I don't know if you heard that. So I've got 2 questions on the hook now. I'm not letting my friend off of the CSO stuff. Diane, why, we've got 4 weeks left till the end of March. Why put in all the effort to move this organization over here?
Thank you for the question, Mayor. If it were our choice, we wouldn't go through this whole process. But when I was talking with administration at the town office, we were advised that we had to complete an application for temporary rezoning for this particular building because it's situated in the town of LaPaw.
Yeah, that's the municipal act. We have to follow this process. What I'm saying is that.
Yep.
So what I'm saying though is it's March 20, or it's February 24th today. You're asking for it till March 31st. Why not just stay at Veterans Hall to the 31st of March?
Good question, and I didn't catch all of it. Basically, the Veterans Hall is a revenue generating source for our community. And especially under our property management services, we typically rent it out for conferences, for workshops, for special events. And with about 20 to 30 people sleeping in the main area, that it's not feasible to run as a business. And right now we see it as a business. Right now, we've been able to accommodate two weekend functions, but it's a lot of work to pick up and relocate and that sort of thing. So
Okay.
ideally, I think when we're all looking at revenues and we're all always short on revenues, we can always use more.
Yeah, everybody can.
Exactly.
Connie,
Single day.
Connie,
Laverne.
oh, sorry, Laverne. Sorry. Laverne.
What was the question again?
About, so, okay, we have people that live around here and all that. What's the, if there is a bunch of people hanging around at midnight, sitting outside drinking,
So because it's on the town side now and that building is now under OCN. We wouldn't have no issues with contacting our own First Nations safety officers. However, if 911 was called, that would be something out of my control to have the police come, because as it states, Edwards is
Yeah.
RCMP
Yeah.
jurisdiction.
but your safety people will be here. Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, so you,
Thank you for mentioning that. I mentioned before, we're fully staffed.
Yeah.
Unlike the town of the Paws, Osterhafen, they're struggling with resources and underfunding, we get that. We hear stories of one individual having two tasks of cooking and eating and offering security. We have 4 individuals on site every 8-hour shift.
okay, so Diane, I'm gonna cut you off because I know we really have rules about how long we can, so we heard, I'll go to Councillor Hopper first and then Councillor Manichaza. And then we'll open it up to anybody else that wants to say something.
Actually, I was just gonna follow up on your question about what happens if you don't move, and you're saying it's a loss of revenue. But again, if you leave the things as they are at the Veterans Hall, it is money well spent by keeping it there too. Like you can't put money ahead of the loss of money ahead of the inconvenience or the helping the elders or the people on the street. So I just thought of that, it was coming up. If it was me, I would say leave there. I've worked with many chiefs over the years. That's why I still have a bit of hair left, but Francis Flett, William Osman, and a number of them. And we talked reconciliation before reconciliation was even a word to be talked about. And all our communities work together on that. I knew there was issues at Oscar's place. I didn't realize they're as severe as they are. It would be nice if OCN could put some of all the resource you have in the Veterans Hall, if that could be put into Oscar's place. Again, different jurisdiction. When we first opened that, prior to that, we had the community chaplaincy. That was headed by the town, put in 20,000, OCN chief and council put in 20,000, RM put in money to help the people on the street. And we had the chaplaincy program that was well funded. That's gone by the wayside after, I think, 15 years or so. And now the government promised all kinds of good things about Oscar's place. There's going to be mental health workers. There's going to be this, there's going to be that. We ended up on the short end of the stick here, not as us personally, but the people that are supposed to receive the services, they're not there, obviously, by what you've witnessed over there. And there's lots of things going on inside the building there, where the police are calling. But you have to admit, those problems occur in the building, and then they go into the community, the surrounding area, the Dairy Queen, like the uptown area, because they either get kicked out or there's a fight or whatever it is. But whatever the issues are going on in there, when you're talking about drugs and everything, that goes right into the community at hand. The fear is, as well as this could be run, it's going to create more of an area for people to come in. There's businesses along there that are concerned about people that come into their, like I said, the dental office, the insurance office. I have no problems walking down the street. I know a lot of people that are on the streets. I'm not afraid of them. some people are, for the most part, they're harmless, they're not gonna bother you. But some of the younger people that are on the street, that are intoxicated, are scary to a lot of people, and they have assaulted people and so on and so forth. The community of people I've talked to about having it there are saying it's not a good fit. And that's what, it's not just the building, and your plan sounds really good. And I believe it would probably follow through that. I would go back and say, I think it would be best if you could just leave it at where it is, at the Veterans Hall. You're gonna lose some income for a month, but for the disruption that I think this would cause, and all it would do, I'm thinking down the road, it's gonna could cause hard feelings, bad relations, and a lot of work that's been done over the last 20 years would be undone by things that would happen there. It would just, to me, if you can keep it there, I would support that, and I don't know if the town can assist in any way, but I would push for that.
Councillor Manich, just 1 second, and then I'm gonna go to some. Diane. Yeah, you don't actually get to respond right now. I gotta get through some people in the crowd, then, you know, if you wanna say a few other things. Councillor Manich?
I've got two quick things. I look at it from two different angles. Number one, I'm unsure if that building's suited for the requirements. You mentioned as much as 20 in the place. That would mean there has to be 5 washrooms. I don't know if it supports that, but that would be the keywords I haven't heard yet today in this presentation are the emergency homeless shelter standards established by the province of Manitoba. I have not heard those words used to say we can achieve that. That may take you weeks to even get to that point. So there's my first concern. Second one was your quote. And I like hearing that there's been no trouble at your shelter. It makes you feel good that the people are getting along. But there were key words that were spoken. To accommodate our members, that's why they're gonna move here. Want to move it here because all the members come here during the day. The exact quote was to accommodate our members. They spend their days here. When they're at the homeless shelter at the Veterans Hall, they're there to sleep. But all day long, it becomes the Town of La Paz management issue. It becomes our policing issue, our CSO issues, and our community issue. You have security, which is great to hear, but that's at your shelter, not walking our street, not walking the back lane, or protecting the citizens of the Town of La Paz. Those are the two concerns I have. Coming from my background, the emergency standards is what concerns me the most.
Anybody else wanted to make a comment? Doug, wanna come forward?
Doug Bartlett, Executive Director of Friendship Center. For a number of years, I started there in 2019, and for a number of years, we ran a soup kitchen out of our Friendship Center for the homeless. And, you know, we had paintings and everything. But when it came down to it, when you have clients that are dropping 40 ounces of vodka out of their sleeves, you know, how do you prevent that? How do you work with that? You know, this is from experience. I'm speaking from experience. Just recently, one of my staff was cornered in the kitchen and had to scream in order to get out of the kitchen because she was cornered by one of the homeless population. Now, this is why we have a locked door and a locked door policy, and we have appointment only. You know, I was 2 weeks away from opening our doors again. But I can honestly say that as long as the homeless are across the street, I'm going to have to lock them up because my staff's safety comes first. And I understand that, you know, this is taking away from a lot of the services that Paw Friendship Center provided for the course of the 5 years that I've been here. But I cannot provide these services to the detriment of my staff. And that's why I have locked doors. And like I said, I was 2 weeks away from opening the doors. And then this came up because they have, I'd like to say corporate memory, but they know where the Friendship Center is. And it's just been in the last month that they stopped shaking the doors and pounding on the windows to try to get in. Because I cannot protect my staff. I have the homeless population just walking willy-nilly throughout my center, and that's what they have been doing. And it's unfortunate, but this is reality that we live in today.
Thanks, Mr. Yarvin and then Mr. Conity.
Yeah, I live in a neighborhood at 163 First Street, right across 3 months from the location of Western. And I mean, when the Friendship Center was running the soup kitchen and whatever, we had even more vagrants in the area than we have now. Security, even today, is a big issue in the area without adding many more attractions to the area to bring them more into that area. We have to keep our fence, we have a fully gated, fenced area in our house. We have to keep the gates locked to keep people out, even today. And I tell you, if that increases, if this thing goes forward, I'm gonna have a hotline to the RCMP every day. Because I will not stand up for that in the area. Because frankly, I'm the same as I heard some other people. I mean, it's the local OCN members that I know that are the older members that are around town. I know they're totally harmless, you know, and then they're friendly and I don't mind them. But it's the people from outside that come in that I worry about. It's like if you add honey, the bees will come. And it's like adding that attraction to another area where they can go. They're going to migrate into that area. It's just another, you know, piece of the puzzle that's going to happen. That's the biggest concern. I mean, I heard all this thing about security in this facility, but I never heard anything about the security outside the facility in the area. Who's going to look after that besides our RCMP? Am I going to be on the phone every hour because there's people in my yard? That's how it has to be, and that's how it's going to be.
Mr. Conity.
Hi, Jerome, Jerome Conley from 237 Fisher. Ready to store downtown for 20 years plus, and my wife operates a store just a couple doors down on the other side of Market Shop. Sorry, this is my soapbox, so I'm gonna you addressed some of the concerns already in here, but I'm just gonna read this. First of all, we're all friends. So when there's friends, there's sometimes disagreements, but you still have mutual respect, and you're still friends, even if you don't always agree with each other. So I just want to make that like really clear. I also have to say a disclaimer that our family was actually in the bidding process for that building. When we were outbid, I only state this for transparency. My stance on this issue has nothing to do with the property purchase, but more so on the overall well-being of the community. We're becoming nothing but a town of social services and offices. This is just shaking. Which is fine if you're a civil servant, but the long-term feasibility of this is nonsensical. Without private enterprise, thriving businesses, you'll continue to see a decline in the quality of life, an increase in tax burden, and less supporting services in the area. Fisher and Edwards used to be full of retail, every store, and now look at it. How are we supposed to attract businesses to town if we're unable to support the few remaining ones? I truly dislike coming across as the NIMBY, not in my backyard person at a public hearing, since I'm usually on the other side pushing for a project that ruffles feathers. I have love for my neighbors, humans, and generally each person that I meet, but I have hesitation with this concept. I need to state very strongly, I am not in shelters, very much the opposite. But we need proper supports for all of our most vulnerable, not just based upon race, federally dictated ban, or home community. It has to be done in a socially responsible way to reduce negative impacts on the general public and neighbors. My first question was answered, so I'm just gonna skip that. Thank you guys for coming and explaining, because that was one of my first questions. One of the most inefficient things that happen in all our communities is a duplication of services. Has it fully been explored to partner with and expand services in the current shelter? We touched on it a bit, but that would be a perfect example of reconciliation, in my opinion. That's just me. I find it extremely difficult to fathom an application for 30 days of use. Is it in such a state of emergency that this needs to be done? And secondarily, given the track records of government saying that they do something temporarily, And then they use that as a foot in the door to sweep in unpopular changes. The best example of this is the government of Canada, which temporarily brought in income tax. And here we are 100 years later with 40% of our income taken. Once the doors is open, it often never closes. I'm not complaining to the government of Canada, don't worry. I'm just saying a general statement. What happens when 30 days isn't enough? What safety plans or community impact study has been done? Is there a study that you can refer to as the impacts on the area? I'm responsible for multiple young people's lives at my store. Most of them are Indigenous, actually all of them. And can you say without a doubt that they're not going to be at added risk? Because I'm the one that takes the gun. I'm the one that's like literally looking at my phone every 2 minutes to make sure I don't have to run and make sure my staff is alive. And it's happened. I'll get into some of the details. I'll be quick. I'm sorry. We'll ever be more in the eye of the storm in the middle of both shelters. In the past month, I've kicked out 50 drunks out of my store, called the police half a dozen times, and the community safety officers. We have street people coming in, literally helping themselves to hundreds worth of dollars of stock, and then have the Crown throw it out. Police officers always ask, do you even want to press charges? My wife has drunks in her hallway every week and has had to scrape frozen blood, urine, feces, and vomit off her windows on the building that she rents. Are any of you guys here, the decision makers, are you willing to go do that? Are you guys gonna go clean it up for us? I don't know, it's just a question, because it's easy to like say, here's what we're gonna do, guys. But then we're the ones that are stuck with it. We're the ones that deal with it. And one thing that I found so interesting is how it was mentioned how it was impacting your bottom line. Right? It was impacting the bottom line as a revenue making building. Well, that's our revenue making. This is our revenue making area. Our downtown is our Timmins Mall. So if you wouldn't put this in a Timmins Mall, then I wouldn't put it there because it's literally the same thing. And I know this is tough. It's hard, but we're all on the same side. I know we want the same thing: clean, safe communities where we can eat, sleep, work, and enjoy life. Sorry. Let's make decisions to facilitate that. Thank you for the close to
Exact same concerns, these two gentlemen.
Can you just introduce yourself? Maybe just speak a little louder.
My name is Harman, I'm the book at the dental office here.
The what? Dental office?
Yeah, right next to that. So exact same concerns, like, I'm just gonna give a small example. So I have coffee and muffins placed up for the waiting patients. The word gets out, the people come in, I'm fine, okay, have a coffee and go to outside. But they don't do that. They start abusing the staff. They make everybody life over there, like, and everybody gets scared. And I'm not there 100% of the time. Like he said, we have to run back. And even if I go back, but I'm 5'7", they're gonna smash me to the floor, right? My wife gets scared, my kid gets scared, everything goes around. Obviously, I don't want physical altercation. But you tell them, please leave. Do they ever leave? When you ask them nicely? I have to threaten them, okay, I'm gonna call 911. Even then they wait. That is it just bluffing? Or sometimes they do that. I'm not saying everybody will do that, but it's just a concern. Couple of my staff, they really wanted to quit just because of this. Some of them wanted to work Saturdays. On Saturday, I had only female people working for them, and some guys came in, and then after that, I just made a rule, okay, we don't work on Saturdays. That's really done. Okay. Then again, even the other staff was like, should we hire security people and should we start doing the thing that you lock the door thing? I don't know if I can do that. And how much money should I keep on spending on things that even thought about that we have, right? So it's more of a security concern for me. And like you guys pointed out that even those people, they don't feel safe in the existing shelter, right? So why is that? Like it's just got stuck with me. Like, do we have enough security over there, or are we working on that?
I don't think they have security.
So that should be the priority of the work, that we should have security over there. So
I believe they have 2 workers on shift at night, yeah.
One of the things that's not been mentioned, and Canadian Mental Health runs Oscar's Place now. They run a damp shelter. And what that means, is you can go and drink 26 of vodka and then go inside the shelter. And you're hammered while you're in there, causing all kinds of trouble, you know. And this is Canadian Mental
Yeah,
Health.
we did reach out to the CEO, and he was, his unfortunate wasn't able to come tonight, so.
They even allowed them to go out at night after doors are locked.
Yeah.
To go smoke whatever they're on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the fact of the matter is like, these are staff that used to work for me. Okay?
Yeah.
And they wear their hearts on their sleeve. They could see they're jonesing. You know, they could see they're hurting. So they let them go out and get their fix. And that's why they do it, is because they can see the pain. They work with that pain every day. They see it every day. And there's just no other way of treating it unless you get into detox, other than go and get a fix.
Okay, so we've got about 2 minutes, because we have to wrap up at the top of the hour. Is there? No, she's with you, was there anybody, no, Diane, you had your turn, you're gonna have to wait, I got a couple people with hands up here. Sorry.
My question is, when there's questions, there should also be opportunity to answer and clarify on those questions as well, and I really would like the opportunity.
Yeah, we'll let you finish up, Diane. I'll give one more question and then I'll let you finish up. Sorry, I'm not trying to be rude. I'm just trying to move us along here.
My name is Lisa. I'm the manager of RG Fast Insurance. And I have the same concern that everybody else with the safety. And one thing that keeps sticking in my head here is about what happens when there is a problem outside, or what happens if there's a problem with bugging our customers outside or coming in to see us. We're an office of women. I want my staff to feel unsafe, and I think that's going to put a lot of pressure on our RCMP having to come to these calls all the time. Is that going to cause other issues in other parts of the town too? Because they know that the RCMP are getting called once to come to a certain area, and crime's going to start in other areas. So that's my concern, is I don't want my clientele or my staff to feel unsafe at any time leaving at 5:30 at night, and somebody's not allowed in the shelter for a reason, and they're harassing us in the back of our building.
Quick one, or because I want Diane to have the last one.
It's a quick one. This maybe give Diane the opportunity to speak a little bit longer. The hearing is scheduled for an hour.
Yeah.
Till 5 to 6. Council meeting starts in a few minutes.
Okay.
I would say we officially conclude this meeting. At our council meeting, there's a public question period for the public to appear before council. At every council meeting, we have time allotments, but we could move this conversation into the council meeting just as public have questions, so that everything gets answered. Because I don't want anybody going away and say, we didn't get answered, and it can be part of the council meeting, but the mayor's not gonna let it go on forever, but it would give us opportunity.
And we have rules around that too, but so let's just finish up with Diane. And if there's any burning issues, did you have something, Jen?
Well, they're not burning issues, but there's certainly responses to the questions that were raised. And I just wanted to quickly make 3-4 points, and I'll do it quick. I know we're time sensitive here. Getting back to Councillor Hopper's comments on OCN's revenues, I think the decision in terms of what OCN deems as revenue sources and priorities are those of OCN. We have other purposes for Veterans Hall aside from revenue sources. We have a number of justice initiatives, and restorative justice programs happening. We have quarterly, and we're going to be increasing our youth conferences and forums in that Veterans Hall. Very critical to anti-gang initiatives. We have a Northern Justice Symposium scheduled for March 25, 26, 27. The entire north is included, including the town of the Paw. And we're going to get together and talk productively and meaningfully. The Veterans Hall is our key gathering center for bringing in communities. Having our homeless sitting in there or sleeping there is not conducive. So it's more than just revenues. I wanted to clarify that. And again, we determine socially responsible. The big question I'm hearing is the safety factor. I really want to reiterate that not all of our OCN members are the ones causing the problems. I don't want to, be defensive, but I also know I live in this community too all my life. I also know who is OCN and who is not OCN in the town and the street people. We do see violence from those coming in from other communities. Our community members at OCN aren't the ones on the streets fighting. Yes, there's the odd one. But our people at our homeless shelter have been nothing but respectful for the most part. We do not tolerate alcohol. I get it that they do need it, but we will not be tolerating it. In terms of cleaning up the drunks, the poop and everything else that was raised, I didn't catch the individual's name. I think he might be a business owner. But I mean, those are the kind of situations that did not happen and are not happening with our OCN homeless people. And we make sure of that. We have bathrooms for that. And we want to make sure that outside security happens as well. They're going to be walking around and making sure that the safe place is safe. We have to remember that this is not an increase to the homeless population. It's the same practically individuals that were down the street at the homeless shelter, right? So it's not like it's getting this huge influx all of a sudden. We have to be mindful of that. We know they're struggling, and I want to make sure that 30-day thing, I need to make that also clear that we need the space at the Veterans Hall. This was only a temporary measure. We have a building that we have available and ready to accommodate our band members within our Treaty 5 territory. So, we can talk about taxes. We pay the taxes too. I'm not sure. I heard comments to that effect as well. But I mean, we are also responsible property owners. We have guidelines and rules that we ourselves want to adhere to, above and beyond the expectations that are required. We're not going to be running a makeshift free for all that it sounds like the concerns are coming at us at. We're very responsible. We're professionals and we're in the business of helping others. And that's really where we're coming from, is this good place. My fear here is I don't want to start a division. With the town and the Paw, I'm hearing a lot of animosity. I'm hoping that's not what it is. I'm picking it up.
Yeah.
But I really want to get back to the reconciliation piece and being a community.
Just for the record, and I didn't mean any disrespect talking about the revenue issue, just a comment.
And I'll just close it up.
I apologize. I really wish I was there, but I'm here in Winnipeg and I would have preferred to be at the town council meeting. So I said I regret for sitting in the hallway here, communicating through Teams. My apologies.
Yeah, and I'll just wrap things up. We can carry on. And so in our next meeting, we have a citizens period if anybody wants to stay. But I do just want to clarify a couple of things. We're not wanting this to create an issue where we should be divided. I think my friend from Funky Thread said, it's okay to disagree from time to time. I think that at the end of the day, we're all wanting the same thing. We want to take care of everybody. And it's not us and them. It's about what can we do to bring us together, to do what we know is the right thing to do. I understand what Diane is saying, it seems like everybody's up in arms, but everybody's up in arms because of what they experience. And what we do experience is what we experience. And what our downtown people are seeing and what their CSOs are dealing with and what our RCMP are dealing with. And I do understand the challenges from the shelter, because the shelter is managing the people that are in there so that they can have as peaceful of a shelter as possible. It's not perfect, but that's the way it is. So I do appreciate everybody's time today. I'm not cutting anybody off, but I am going to close this meeting up. And then we're going to move to our council meeting, and I'll let Chief Brown finish. You want to say something? Yeah.
Okay. It's hard to have difficult conversations. But it's necessary. And, you know, you have a decision to make, and that's your decision. And, we'll respect your decision. And whatever, you know, however we can help the homeless on both sides is what we will work toward.
Appreciate that, Chief. Okay, can I get a motion to adjourn? Motion by Councilor Hopper. Everybody good? Okay. Thank you, guys. If you want to hang around for the next couple hours, we're going into regular council meeting. And what, just for your information, this will actually now get added to our agenda at council meeting. Council will have the discussion at council meeting tonight, and they will make a decision.
Okay, thanks.